Hello and welcome to another video from the only channel that you need to not only survive the current apocalypse but actually enjoy it. And today's video is going to be about 3 women. And I have to tell you that it's going to be another one of my videos, so you're going to hear things you've never heard that have not been heard by human ears in 2,000 years. And it's the truth. You'll be able to prove in your heart it's the truth. But it's also incredibly important that you understand the identity of these 3 women in order to understand the rest of the Bible. In fact, you can't understand any Bible prophecy unless you understand who these 3 women are, what they represent. You can't understand who any of these women are without understanding the other 2. So we're going to learn about all 3 of them today. And the first woman is Eve. Eve and her husband were given natural instincts when they were created. That natural instinct became law. Throughout the Bible, it's referred to as a law. Jesus referred to it as a law. The Bible says the law will never be done away with. It's speaking of natural law that was put into Adam and Eve. Not any legalism that was established later on with Noah or with Moses or with the Christian congregation. But the law that was initially put into Adam and Eve is the thing that's going to last forever. And that law included such things as eat nutritious foods, don't eat foods that are not nutritious for humans, make love, reproduce offspring, and a very, very, very important one is rest. You know, Jehovah invited all creation to enter into his rest. And it, like I say, it was not a legalism. When he invited Eve and Adam into his rest, and Satan for that matter, that was for all eternity. That was not a one-day-a-week thing. And it'll all play into the calendar later. You just have to trust me. As we go along and future videos, you'll see what all that's about. But Eve initially she stuck to natural law and she did what she was supposed to do, but Satan came along and he was able to convince her to eat one piece of fruit to break that natural law. And the way he did it was he manipulated her. And he said, well, you know, is it true that God's not going to let you eat these delicious things? And she said, no, we get to eat all of that. It's just that one fruit. And, well, why can't you eat that one fruit? Well, God says if we eat that one fruit, that we'll die. And Satan says, if you eat that fruit, you will not die. So here we go. Later in the book of Revelation, Satan is called the father of the lie. That's why he's called that. This is the first time in history that a lie has been told. And it's a slanderous lie. And so here's this issue. You know, who is the liar? Is it Satan or is it Jehovah? So Jehovah pronounces the first prophecy recorded in the Bible, and we've talked about it before, where he says, he shall bruise you in the heel, and you shall bruise him in the head. And he looks at Eve and he says, your craving will be for your husband. That prophecy involves the calendar, but it also involves sovereignty, and it involves everything throughout all human history. And this issue will not get solved until the very end, when Jesus Christ is installed as king over God's kingdom. So Eve did not just fall over dead when she ate the fruit. So to anybody around, it would look as if maybe Satan was telling the truth. And we talk about anybody around, you know, Eve lived for a long time, possibly 1,000 years. And in that time, she would have had children, and they would have had children, they would have children. When she died, it's possible that there's no telling how many kids she had, how many grandkids, great-grandkids, all of that. And everyone would be looking to her. When they got up in the morning to go to work, it's like, why am I doing this? Because Satan says to do it, and he says that I'll live forever if I do it, and there's my great-great-grandma, she's still alive, so obviously I've got to do what Satan says. So that was his belief system. Eve actually represented the entire belief system of civilization at that time. Because, you know, natural law, the things I mentioned, eating food and making love and resting and taking care of the forest, those things are enjoyable. Anytime you break out of that, your body and your mind tell you that something's not right. You know, and if you don't believe me, take a week off from work, then go to work for 70 hours the next week and sit back and meditate on which one you enjoy the most. You know, natural law is telling you what you're supposed to be doing. But anyway, eventually Eve died because when Satan told her that she would live forever, that was a fiction. That was a lie. So he had to establish this incredibly complex religious system where he was still able to get people to go to work. Because now it's like, okay, if Satan can't keep us alive forever, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. So I think the next thing that he did, and it only makes sense, was to tell them that yes, her body died, but she didn't die because she had a soul. But because she did what I told her for all the years she was in her fleshly body, her soul has gone to heaven. But if she hadn't done what I told her, then her soul would have gone to hell. So there you go. We have a new system to replace the old systems. This new system replaced Eve. Eve's role is no longer necessary. Now we hire up priests, things like that. In the book of Revelation, Jehovah recognized that a system had been put in place instantly to replace the Eve system when she died, and he gave it a name. He called it Babylon the Great. If you go look at her description, and I think she gets mentioned near the end of chapter 16 of Revelation and in the beginning of chapter 17, maybe all the way through 17, but you can see some of her qualities. She's dressed in fine linen. She's got a gold cup in her hand. She's wearing fancy jewelry. And so all earthly things, just man-made material things, things that require slavery, require labor. So we go on to verse 18, and this is the most telling part. I mean, not verse 18, chapter 18. Chapter 18 of Revelation shows the reaction of the kings of the earth and the economic system, which is called the merchants of the earth. And you see them cowering and going, oh no. How are we going to keep these people building cities? How are we going to build ships? How are we going to get people to sail the oceans, to take trade goods to other countries? Who's going to buy our pearls and who's going to sell our pearls? So you can see it's the system that is used today to keep people having faith in the economy. Just like back then when Eve was alive. We're coming to a time period that's going to be the most incredible time period ever in human history. When that time period comes, the Bible says the first thing that's going to happen is Babylon the Great is going to fall. Babylon the Great is going to die. But just like when Eve died, a new system is going to be established instantly. And that system will last for all eternity. But this is going to happen at the very beginning of the 3.5 years that the Bible talks about. That system is also called a woman. And I can't remember which part of Revelation that's in, but it says, and then a great sign was seen in heaven. A woman arrayed with the sun. She's wearing the sun on her body as clothing. And she has the moon at her feet. And she has 12 stars in her crown. So unlike Babylon the Great, which is based on material possessions, Jehovah's belief system that's going to replace Babylon the Great will be based on the heavens. And it's only right. There are scriptures that say the heavens are showing us the glory of God, or a lot of scriptures like that, where it just says to look at the stars and see the glory of God. But what people don't understand is that in the very near future, things are going to happen to the moon and the sun and the stars that are going to be mind-blowing. And when it says that a sign was seen in heaven, it's not going to be looking up and seeing what we see right now. We're going to see things that the churches have told us for 2,000 years would never happen. The scientific community swears will never happen. The government swears will never happen. And when it happens, there will be a cover story. Just like when Satan lost his first woman and replaced her with a second woman, when this woman goes away, Satan will come up with another cover story. You've got to be prepared. When you look up and you see everything in the sky different than it's ever been in the entire history of the world that you're aware of, just be ready for the cover story. 3 women. If you don't want to survive, don't listen to me.